Today on the Bass channel, we're talking about the Florence bass from Sandberg. As you probably already know, and if you don't, it wouldn't take long to figure out that I am a big fan of the brand that starts with the infamous G. And one quick look at this bass, you can definitely see some of the influence from the aforementioned manufacturer. So what I want to do is talk a little bit about spec, but talk more about why would I want the Florence over one of these guys. But before we get into some of the specific talking points about this particular bass and its specs, I want to let you know that half of the tones I did for this video use the strings that came on the bass, and the other half use labella tape wounds, because I just feel like you can make this bass have a whole different vibe if you kind of go that route with tapes or flats, and I've been really liking tapes recently. So let's hear one of those tones done with the labella tapes. Okay, on to some of those specs that I mentioned earlier. This particular model is a soft-aged alder body in British Racing Green. You can also get tobacco or ruby red, but we have the green one. It's got a bolt-on Canadian hard rock maple neck, and while you can get a fretless version, we have the fretted version, which has 20 frets on a rosewood fretboard with dot inlays. It is a 30-inch scale. It's got the aged Sandberg hardware, it's got their power humbucker with a metal cover, and the electronics are fully passive with a volume and a tone, the tone being a push-pull for 2 different tone cuts. Okay, so that little bit of information was taken directly from the website, but for some reason what it doesn't say, at least not that I could see, is that this bass features a 0-fret nut, which is pretty cool. And if we're going to compare it to the infamous G brand, that is the first of a few points of why you would probably want to go with this bass over one of these. Also, I'm not sure whether you love or hate the 2x2 headstock design. I know there's arguments for either side. This one has a 4-in-line like the other infamous, maybe not infamous, just regular famous F-word brand. So that's a plus if that's a plus for you. Also, it doesn't take long to see where the inspiration for this particular power humbucker came from, hint hint. But what they've done is they've taken it away from the butt end of the neck position and moved it a little closer to somewhat of a traditional P position. But if we look closely, it is a little closer to the fingerboard than it is to the bridge, so it is going to retain a lot of that vintage warmth, while at the same time giving you a little bit more clarity than you would from one of these guys. push-pull tone pot is another plus, as is the cutaway to access the upper frets, which is pretty funny because anytime I mention that a bass has upper fret access or 24 frets, the comments get flooded with, it's a bass, why would I ever want to play the 24th fret? But as soon as it doesn't have it, that's the biggest complaint, is I can't reach the upper frets. So I don't know what you guys want anymore, but you can reach the upper frets with this one. Now, probably the biggest improvement over this section right here is gotta be that bridge. It's rock solid, it's easy to adjust, it looks really good, and I don't know what else you would want from a bridge, so I'm gonna say that this bridge is an A+. Also, moving back up to the headstock for a minute, one thing I did forget to mention is it has that string retainer for the A, D, and G strings, which is something that the F-Word brand doesn't often implement, at least on the A string, which, as you may or may not know, that A string on a 4-in-line headstock can also be problematic. So like I said, it takes about one glance to see where some of the inspiration for this instrument came from, in both its tone, its electronic layout, and its overall shape. So taking that inspiration, this is one of a couple modern iterations of this short scale double cutaway type of vibe. As you can see, I have the other version of this modern double cutaway short scale bass, and this Sandberg Florence suffers from one of the big cons, in my opinion, at least for the way I sit. I don't know if it's my body type or size or my style or who knows. But just like this one over here, when it's on your lap, the cutaway, the shape for where your knee goes or your leg goes or whatever part of your body. I don't know how to describe it, but that part is a little bit closer to the neck, to that left-hand part of the bass, to where when you let go, it's kind of like the opposite of neck dive, in my opinion, at least when I was recording these and I would stop in between takes and take my hands off the bass. It wanted to dive like strap pin side down, butt side down, whatever you want to call it. It was the opposite of neck dive. I have that same problem with this one over here. That's just a big con for me. And again, like I said, I don't know if it's the way I sit. I don't know if it's my body type. I don't know. You may or may not have the issue, but you also may. So in my humble opinion and experience, that's really the only con that I found. The bass looks good, the bass sounds good, the bass feels good in your hands to play it. Probably more comfortable than this one due to some extra carving in some places. It's not just fully square like this one over here. But if you are doing a lot of playing while seated, it would probably be in your best interest, if you have it available, to try to find one in a store and just sit with it and play it like you would probably any bass, right? I do believe that is about all I have to say on the Sandberg Florence. Overall, I think it's a rad bass. Nothing is perfect, this is included, but the con list is tremendously shorter than the pro list. So thank you all very much for watching. If you're not subscribed, subscribe, do all the other YouTube stuff, and I will see you whenever it is that I see you.